Hello, true duelists. My name is Craig Fee, and welcome to the midweek update. An impromptu video series I plan to do occasionally from now on, when the regular update would otherwise get too long, because this week has seen the reveal of the 2 remaining archetypes from the upcoming Duelist Pack set Amazing Defenders. And this video by itself is going to be long enough. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Starting with Purery, because that's the one that interests me more. Purery is the little evolutions of Yu-Gi-Oh! Starting with Purery here, just named after the entire archetype, it's also the only main deck monster in the entire deck seen so far. A level 1 monster that on summon excavates the top 3 cards of your deck to add one of revealed Purery Spell or Trap card to your hand and puts the rest on the bottom. And it can reveal a quick play Purery spell in your hand in order to Xyz summon any Purery Xyz monster using itself and the revealed spell as a material. Purery Happiness is one of their 4 Xyz, with 2000 attack and the ability to add a Purery card from deck to hand at the end of the damage step in which it battled, and if it has specifically Purery Happy Memory, one of their quick play spells, as a material, it can have the attack of 1 monster on the field. And it's got this effect in common with all 3 of its sisters, cousins, alternate forms, thrice per turn. God, gotta love Mare. When you activate a Purery quick play spell, you can attach that quick play to it as an Xyz material. And after that, it can bounce a spell or trap the opponent controls. Purery Beauty is not Vaporeon, but is actually Glaceon based on the fact that I said so. It can target and negate an opponent's monster's effect, and if it has Purery Pretty Memory as a material, that is a quick effect. So guess which one you're making going first. It can also attach an activated Purery Quick Play as a material thrice per turn, and when it does, it can change a monster's battle position. Ooh, still ignoring links 4 or 5 years after their release. This one is Purery Plump, and I hope that name doesn't change at all. It can target 2 spell or traps in either player's grave and attach them as a material, and is a quick effect if it has Purery Delicious Memory as material. Its thrice per turn attach effect is Farfa, banishing 1 monster on the field until the end phase. Not bad, not great, not terrible. Purery Happiness is the big boss and the one that interested me the most. Needing 2 level 7 monsters to Xyz summon or using any rank 2 monster with 5 or more materials. Its effect is to detach a material to negate the effects of all face-up cards the opponent controls until the end of the turn, and if it has a level 1 Purery monster as a material, the opponent can't respond to that effect. Oh, and just because it does 1500 burn damage when it battles while it has 5 or more materials. So it's just Dark Ruler No More on crack, but it also burns, but it's cute as hell, so it's allowed to do any of it. It can be as degenerate as it wants. Stray Purery Street is their field spell, because all new archetypes need field spells, of course, making your Purery monsters untargetable the turn they're special summoned, and special summons a level 1 Purery from the deck or grave if a face-up Purery Xyz leaves the field by an opponent's card. And during the end phase, can attach a Purery quick play spell from the deck or graveyard to any Purery Xyz you control. Just flooding up those Xyz materials. Purery, my friend, is not your friend, and is in fact asking you to get a hold of yourself in regards to the parasocial relationship with which you formed with a picture of an animal. It's also a continuous spell that lets you pay 500 life points to reveal 3 Purery cards from your deck and add 1 of them randomly to your hand, and then shuffles back the rest. And if a Purery Xyz leaves the field by an opponent's card, can recover up to 3 Purery quick play spells from your grave with different names. And that's even during the damage step. Hot dog. Get it? Might be a dog. I honestly do not know. Purery Happy Memory is the first quick play, allowing you to choose 1 card on the field, and once during this turn, if it will be destroyed by a card effect, it is not. Then it allows you to discard a card to summon a level 1 Purery from the deck, and while it is attached to a monster as a material, that monster will gain the effect that it can attack a number of times up to the number of happy memories it has as materials plus 1. That's right, folks. This creature is happiest when attacking. Do not trust the appearances of things. Pretty Memory gives each player 1,000 life points, then can also 1-for-1 summon a level 1 Purery from deck, and as a material, it will give the Xyz the effect that it can send one other card you control to the graveyard to target an opponent's monster and attach it as a material. It actually steals their look and uses it as a means for removal. Dubious indeed. Delicious Memory chooses a monster on the field and makes it safe from destruction by battle until the end of the turn, then can be the 4th copy of 1-for-1 of Purery Monsters, and its as a material effect will give the Xyz equipped with it 300 attack and defense for each material it has. Their only trap so far is Purery Leap, which does have a exclamation point and a question mark in it, which means it does have to be pronounced exactly as I just did. It's a normal trap that targets a Purery Xyz you control and then summons a Purery Xyz with a different rank, using it as a material, but bounces it back to the extra deck during the end phase. It can also be banished from the grave to target and shuffle 3 Purery monsters back into your deck to reload for more Xyz spam. Overall, it seems like a pretty damn solid deck, and at its worst, it has an in-theme Dark Ruler No More on crack that can't be responded to at all. You know, with the right setup. Plus, if you've got Delicious Memory on the big boss, you get some pretty solid stats, and more importantly than anything I just said, they look fucking cute. Really though, this deck seems to be about shitting out 10 material Zeuses until the opponent assaults you physically, which I do believe is going to be the win con of this deck. Moving on to the Mikanko archetype, which I probably said wrong, whoops. The standard model anime girl archetype from every deck building pack. But this one focuses on ritual monsters? That's what I've heard. Drytron 2, perchance? I'm guessing no. They've got 2 main deck monsters so far, with only 1 ritual revealed thus far. They all have 0 attack and defense, and for the non-rituals, they both have the effect that if they do not have an equipped spell attached, you take no damage from battles involving them, but if they do have an equipped card attached, they cannot be destroyed by battle, and the opponent will take any damage from them in any battle. It's an interesting start. The first monster is Hair the Sword Mikanko, a level 3 fire attribute warrior, and has the unique effect that if it's equipped with an equipped card, it can add a Mikanko equipped spell from deck to hand. Well, looks like we got ourselves a good old-fashioned Isolde Turbo deck coming up, folks. Nini the Mira Mikanko is a level 3 water spellcaster, so actually fuck Isolde apparently. And its unique effect is to quick effect take control of an opponent's monster once per turn while it has an equipped card attached. That's pretty decent. The only downside is that it's only on the opponent's turn, which is pretty lame, but I mean, snatch stealing to disrupt their plays in general isn't bad, so we'll take it. Mikanko the Uhime is a name I definitely said wrong, and the Ritual of the deck, a level 6 light monster that mentions a ritual spell here, so God willing we can pre-prep it. It can't be destroyed by battle, and the opponent takes all battle damage at all times, no need for an equipped spell, and on the field once per turn can target an equipped spell in your grave and equip it to an appropriate target on the field. It also in hand can reveal itself to add a Mikanko card except for another copy of itself from deck to hand. I'm not gonna lie, the search is solid, but the on-field effect is underwhelming as shit. This archetype's boss monster's unique effect is a generic Glory of the Noble Knights. We all know how great that card is. Moving on to spell support, what do all these equipped cards do? Hopefully more disruption. We'll find out right after this. This, of course, being the field spell. Everybody gets a field spell, like I said. Doorway of the Celestial Mikanko makes it so that the opponent must attack any monster you control that has an equipped card if able, and if a Mikanko monster battles, it gets the Armades effect of no effects or cards being allowed to be activated until the end of the damage step. And if a Mikanko monster attacks, you can send an equipped card you control to the grave to have that monster make another attack on a monster again. And that's not once per turn, at least. Copium. cute, I suppose, in terms of effect. The Great Mikanko of Legend is a quick play spell with more monsters on it, meaning we may at least be getting a purple-haired dark attribute one, and I'm assuming a brown-haired earth attribute one. Hopium! Onto the actual card, it's Bad E-Telly. Summon a Mikanko monster from your hand, ignoring the summoning conditions, but it will be bounced to the hand during the end phase. And during the main phase, you can banish it from your grave to Foolish Burial any Mikanko card except another copy of itself. Both hard once per turn, but you do get to cheat out the ritual, so, I mean, it's not terrible. It's just, you know, could have been from the deck too. Blazing Dance of the Mikanko is an equip finally. That is an archetype-specific premature burial, summoning a Mikanko from grave and then equipping itself to it on activation. And then you can summon a monster from the opponent's grave to their field, with its effects negated. Also, the equipped monster can't be destroyed by card effects, which is just what the deck needs. Advantage for free for the opponent. At least it's optional, but I'm getting serious Ogdoadic flashbacks, and let me tell you, those aren't good flashbacks. Purifying Dance of the Mikanko also makes the equipped monster indestructible by card effects, and when the opponent special summons a monster, that lets you bounce one monster from each player's field to the hand, like a Compulsion Scrap Dragon combined. Or Heradic Spheres Turbo, but as an anime girl equip spell. Nice. The last equip we've revealed so far is Inviting Rondo of the Mikanko. That is literally in archetype Snatch Steal. Except not really. It does take the opponent's monster that it's equipped to, but that monster can't activate its effects while you control it, and at least when this card leaves the field, the equipped monster will be sent to the grave. You can only control one of them, however, and you can only activate one per turn. Still, it is a solid card, and it is blue. Just like Sprite blue. Does Konami have a blue bias? No, not at all. Mikanko Kagura is the ritual spell, and it can summon any Mikanko ritual monster, making it future-proof as is standard. Also standard, it requires tributing of monsters from hand or field, whose levels equal or exceed those needed for the ritual you're summoning. But as an added bonus, it can also destroy cards the opponent controls up to the number of differently named equip spells in your grave, and deal 1,000 damage for each card destroyed after you ritual summon. So, that's cool, but you can only activate one per turn, and it does not mention the ritual, so there's no pre-prep, which is lame. It's neat, but if there's a way to break equip spell-based decks, I don't quite think this is it. They also have two traps. Mikanko Promise is actually emergency teleport, but as a trap, summoning a Mikanko from hand or deck, but banishing it during the end phase. But to make up for it being a trap, it also equips the Mikanko summoned with any appropriate equip spell from your hand or grave. And it has a hard once per turn. Mikanko Catfight is also a normal trap that requires you to control a Mikanko monster and lets you target a face-up monster on the field and equip it with an appropriate equip spell from your deck. And if an equip is sent to the grave while this is in your grave, you can add it back to your hand. Recursion. And that is it for what we've seen thus far in the deck. Still, pretty sure this is just going to end up being his old Turbo in some capacity. But as I said earlier, if there is a way to break equip spell-based decks, I do not think this is the one to do it. They can take a lot of the opponent's monsters, it seems, but mostly on the opponent's turn, and they can only attack or be linked off, which is not a lot from a deck that can be thrown off entirely by any copy of MST or its 28 variants. Not to mention the result of getting hit by a Feather Duster before any one of the 78 means of disruption and removal that every deck seems to have. This was touted as a ritual deck, so I don't quite know how people are going to feel about it being an equipped deck, but I will say this is the first deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! That I can think of that is a ritual-based equip spell burn strategy based on that ritual spell. So, if nothing else, the playstyle is as oppositely unique as its art is incredibly generic. I may have an opinion on the anime girl cards. You'll never know. I do believe each of these archetypes will be getting one more card in the set, including the race archetype revealed a week or two ago. And most deck build packs get a piece of support or two in future main sets, so who knows what will become of these decks. From what we have, Purery seems like it will be the strongest contender for a meta deck, with a big shout out to the main man Zeus. That card probably needs a limit. if not a ban. We'll get that bridge when we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Which actually really annoys me, not just in terms of Zeus, but in terms of Purery being good, because I want to get that one because it's cute, but it's going to be the expensive one. Truly, my life is a struggle, and you truly care. But regardless, that will wrap it up for what I am calling the midweek update. Do not worry, there will still be a regular update come Friday. Just thought I'd save you all a 40-minute video. Good God. Don't even want to think about that. As always, I am your host, Craig Fee, and make sure you subscribe to YGO Strats for next week's update, and so you too can become a true duelist.